Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott, I'm the Emperor of Stomaria, and today I want to answer a common question. When will Stomaria get land? Now, this is something that some of our supporters, and more often than not our detractors, will often ask, and it's a justified question, because Stomaria is a keen advocate for the purchase of private freehold land that can be utilised to promote a micronation's values and objectives. And the reason for this is pretty straightforward. If you're looking to build a micronation like Stomaria, where we are focused on the establishment of real-world communities, we are focused on the establishment of a trade network, we are focused on reducing reliance on and contributions to the macronations that we are based in, all of this requires private freehold land, because you cannot utilise a public park, you cannot utilise land that you don't have some semblance of control or ownership over, because local law enforcement or bailiffs or whoever else will just come in and take whatever you have built down or away. You know, it's as simple as that, really. And so the acquisition of land is something that we're very keen to do. And this is something that we were looking to do from the get-go, from our foundation in 2019. We were, had funds available to purchase land. But as life sometimes does, there were a few spanners in the works over the last few years. Some have been very joyful, and some have been heartbreakingly tragic. But I won't be going into details of all of that here, but suffice to say there have been times in my life where I've had to focus my attention on other things, and those financial resources have had to be focused on other things. And so this has gone on and on and on for a few years now, and even today we're not in a position where we can purchase land of any noticeable quantity, in the sense that it wouldn't be beyond the possibility of us being able to buy 0.1 acre of farmland, or like grazing land somewhere. But then we can't really do anything with that. I mean, that's not a lot of land to work with. We don't rule that out just so we can have that land and we can do something with it, maybe. But just buying a tiny fraction of a plot of land in the middle of a larger plot with no visible, fencing or barriers or division of the land itself, it doesn't inspire me with confidence, and it's not really something that I want to do. What I would rather do is I would rather purchase land which we can utilize and in a meaningful way. So it would have to be ideally land that is had some character to it. It wasn't just grassland, for instance. It could be, partly forested, partly grassland, maybe a stream running down it, a sort of idyllic sort of little plot. But that's obviously quite hard to do. And in our particular neck of the woods, in Hampshire in South England, property prices, even if not especially for land, is exceptionally high compared to a lot of other parts of the world and certainly the country. And so one potential option is that we purchase land elsewhere, either in the north of England, in Wales, or somewhere around there, where property prices, generally speaking, are cheaper. Now, in order to be able to do this, we'll obviously need someone that is dedicated and loyal to the project, has long-term interest in it, because if they decide that one day it's not for them, then it obviously causes a problem, because we'll have land in a location that we can't easily access. So that is something that we are looking at. Indeed, with the Kingdom of the Thua, which are based in Wales, becoming an ally of Stomaria, it may be a possibility at some point in the future that land could be purchased around there, in their general location, which they can utilize themselves. But that's all sort of depending on where the plot is, what the plot is, and how much that plot costs. And this isn't really a straight answer. It's just simply the fact that we don't have the money to buy the land, and even if we did have the money to buy land, we can't buy land in the place that we want to buy it. And that's the problem. So this might be an ongoing thing for some time. We might make a token gesture by buying a tiny little plot of somewhere, just to say we have it, but I would much rather focus my efforts on trying to buy land which we can actually utilize. In fact, a few times we've tried desperately to buy land which has been either adjacent to or within 100 yards of the Kingdom of Wayward, because they are a long-term friend and ally and now associated state of Stomaria. And the idea that we could potentially expand their own borders was quite an exciting prospect. But again, it just fell through. We've made multiple attempts at this point in trying to buy land in and around Wayward, but it just never works out. And it's incredibly frustrating for me. But more than this, our sort of focus and attention has shifted slightly, because before it was just Stomaria. I mean, we were the Empire of Stomaria, but at the end of the day, it was just Stomaria. But now, certainly as the recent months have clocked on, there are micronations within Stomaria now, and they also require our attention. They require our focus more often than not, because we are responsible for making sure that this empire is held together and that there is actual mutual benefit and a reason for them to be here. So a great deal of financial resources has been allocated to creating promotional material for these micronations. A great deal of financial resources has been allocated to the eventual production of additional Stomarian status, which will feature I think Moreland initially, and then hopefully also Molossia and other micronations and other micronationalists within the Empire of Stomaria. Because again, that's something that we're very keen to do. In order to build this real world community and trade network, we need to have that medium of exchange, and using silver, Stomarian status, is the central part of that. And we just don't have enough at the moment in order to make this work. So we may need to sort of triple or even quadruple the amount of silver status in circulation. And this is not cheap. To give you an idea of the expense that these cost, I mean, it was 100 status was the first batch we made, 5 stater coins. So 5 grams of silver in each stater coin, which was 500 grams of silver in total. So half a kilo of silver in total. And the production of those coins costs in the region of £1,600, give or take, which made each coin worth about £16 to actually produce. Now, the issue is that the silver content in each of these coins is around £3. So the spot price of silver is about 60p, 5 grams of silver, £3, give or take. Now, I personally bear the brunt of this cost, in the sense that the silver Stomarian stater, its value is the spot price of the silver. So that is why, for instance, that we have purchased, eggs from the Kingdom of Wayward using one of these stater coins. Not because the stater coin was worth £16. We didn't buy £16 worth of eggs. We bought, at the time, £2.50 worth of eggs when the spot price of silver was slightly lower. And I took the hit of about, what was it, £13.50? Now, a lot of people will likely say, well, why are you just minting your own coins? Why not just use existing bullion like Britannia's, for example? And we did, and that's what we used for the longest time. We had, generally speaking, they are cheaper it's cheaper just to buy a Britannia coin than it is to mint and utilize a Stomarian stater. But the idea is that we are utilizing micronational money, that we are reducing reliance on the macronation that we're a part of, not just by reducing the number of goods and services that we depend on them for, but also by reducing reliance on the currency and indeed the money that they utilize. In this case, the pound sterling and Britannias or sovereigns or whatever else. So it was a matter of principle more than anything that encouraged us to actually pull the trigger and purchase these Stomarian staters. And the actual production cost of the Stomarian stater will eventually fall, because as time goes on, we are going to be buying these in larger and larger orders, and the more that we order, the cheaper each coin becomes in terms of its production cost. So we are looking to buy 10-gram stater coins next. So the content of the silver will be doubled, but also because we're going to be buying more of them, the actual production cost will be far lower. So not only is the next order going to be cheaper per coin to actually mint, but each coin will actually have more silver, so it'll become slightly closer to the to a more affordable, to a more reasonable level of cost. And so that's something that we're looking to do in order to promote the economy, the micronational economy, the micronational market, I think was quoted by King Raoul, that we are looking to establish, because this is what Stomaria is. Stomaria is an empire. Stomaria is a micronation that's looking to incorporate other micronations into it and then establish a trade network utilizing gold and silver. And weirdly, just as a slight tangent, I noticed this is a weird criticism of Stomaria. They always say, well, I say they, there are some people who would say that we are incredibly imperialistic, trying to absorb other micronations into the empire. They say we're too focused on wealth or the monetization of micronationalism. And this is a bit of a weird thing to say to a micronation which its entire purpose is to build an empire of commerce, of trade, of enterprise, utilizing a sound monetary system based on gold and silver. I mean, that is what we are. And in terms of monetizing the micronational community or micronations, I mean, I can only assume they're new to the micronational community, because micronationalism and monetization is nothing, out of the ordinary. You have Liberland charging, what is it, $10,000 or something for citizenship. You have Sealand charging £500 for a noble title. You have micronations left, right, and centre. Even the better known ones, the larger ones, that are charging for citizenship and titles. I mean, you have Ladonia charging $80 for a lordship title. You have Atlantium charging $25 for citizenship. You have Molossia. I mean, if you want, you can give them some money and they'll give you a war bond for their war against East Germany. I mean, the monetization of micronationalism is a fantasy, in the sense that we are trying to spearhead that kind of movement. There is money in micronationalism, in the sense that money is required to fulfill some of the objectives that those micronations have. And money is critically essential to a micronation like Stomaria, which is looking to build real-world communities, which is looking to buy uniforms and sabers and land and silver coins and all the rest of it. This doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Of course, it requires financial resources to do it. But I'm going on a tangent, as always. So, I mean, that's the reason, anyway, the reasons behind the lack of land that we have. And it is frustrating for us, but at the same time, our priorities over the years have shifted. First in my personal life, and then with Stomaria itself. I mean, if I can attract micronations that already have land, and then instead of buying land ourselves, looking to support micronations that have that land, looking to develop that land, that is something that I am seriously considering. Maybe we don't need land. Maybe the people, maybe the land that we have, maybe the land that Stomaria has, will be comprised almost exclusively of micronations that make up Stomaria's empire. I mean, case in point, I mean, the Kingdom of Wayward, we're buying beehives for them, we're, taking down trees at the Kingdom of Wayward, we've supported them financially throughout the years. It's not my land, but it is private freehold land that they have, and it has been developed and utilised and will eventually benefit Stomaria and the Stomarian community and all the micronations within it. So, yeah, I mean, maybe that's a route we'll go down. I don't know. It depends on how well things go in the next few years, I guess. But yeah, I think that basically covers everything that I wanted to cover. I just wanted to explain my reasons as to why we're in the position that we're in, and, how we might go about addressing those issues going forward. But yeah, I mean, if you did want to become a part of the Stomarian community, then please feel free to do so through our Patreon campaign, the link of which I shall leave in the description below as always. You can also find the details of the other micronations that form a part of our empire in the description below, so please feel free to check them out, research them, and even join them if they're more to your liking. But yeah, otherwise, if you did like the video, then please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.